Hello and welcome back to the very next episode of Umineko. And I still don't know how to fix the dumb black screen, which appears every time I try to properly load stuff here. There's not much to say. We are simply going to see how our new cute little witch, well, not so cute witch depending on the age we're looking at, is going to introduce herself to the family. Rosa returned to the lobby. It was still her time to rest, but her expression made it look as though she couldn't sleep deeply with all this tension.
無理してでも横になってろよ。後で答えるぜ。
ありがとう。どうしても寝つけなくて。シャワーだけ浴びさせてもらったから、私はもう十分よ。
Yeah, she has to stay on edge the entire time because who knows what Ava will pull off to stop her from betraying her.
次の人、休んでもいいわ。キリエさんたちはいかがですか？
I still say these two are the next ones who will end up dead, and now they're leaving the room.
どうする？ルドルフさん、休ませてもらう？
キリエは休んでいいぜ。俺は起きてる。それくらいしか男らしいことができねえ。
じゃあ起きてるわ。夫と一緒に起きてるくらいしか女らしいことができないから。
Cute.
本当に仲のおよろしいことで。夏日さんこそね。
エヴァと秀吉さんはぐっすりみたいじゃないか。
Okay, which one of the two of you will go in?
やはりローザと違い、年には勝てんね。
I think Ava is just very much relaxed right now. As though in response to those words, the door to the hall clunked open. Ava and Hideyoshi returned from the guest room.
余計なお世話よ。
I just kind of noticed, but we have seen next to nothing from the kids this route, have we? Like, have we seen a single... Well, on the beach, right? We have seen the beach interaction, I think. But other than that, we have got nothing from them. Especially shocked that we haven't got more of Jessica grieving for Kanon and stuff like that.
あらローザ、もう休んでなくていいの？
She won't close an eye as long as you are around.
姉さんこそ、無理しないで休んでたら？
なんだか寝つけなくてね。
Yeah, too excited, huh?
シャワーを浴びたら眠気が覚めちゃったわ。ルドルフたち、よかったら休んでいいわよ。
おう、サンキュー。今は気持ちだけでいいぜ。兄貴たち、先に休んだらどうだ？
ありがたいね。だが先に休むわけにはいかん。それくらいしか長男らしいことができないのでね。
私たちは最後まで起きていますので、ご心配なく。それよりエヴァ姉さん、大丈夫？少し顔色が悪いわ。
そういや、そうやな。ん？ちょいと熱っぽいで。
Oh, is he getting feverish? I mean, she went through the whole rain and stuff. Hideyoshi put his hand up against Ava's forehead. It seems that Ava wasn't feeling her best.
言わんこっちゃね。
Well, isn't that a pretty nice opportunity for Rosa? I mean, thinking about it, she knows where the gold is, right? If Ava wants to keep it secret till the boats arrive, then wouldn't it be very unfortunate that something were to happen to Ava?
年のくせに生活リズムを崩すからだぜ。風邪か？
夏日、上の南條先生を呼んできてくれんかね。
はい。いいわ、そこまで大げさじゃない。常備薬は持ってるから大丈夫よ。疲れるとすぐ熱に出るの。心配しないで。
姉さん、無理しないで。
ありがとう。私抜きで兄弟が集まってると、私の陰口でも言われてるような気がしちゃってね。昔からの被害妄想なの。
Yeah, considering how they are talking behind each other's backs the entire time, it's less of a persecution complex than just knowing what is going to happen.
ごめんね。
ごめんね。
私は何も言わないわよ。姉さんのいないところで姉さんの嫌な話なんて。
Yeah, only when you're there.
どうしたの？姉さん、さっきから変よ。もう少し休んだら？
そうね。3月までの金策を考えたら頭痛がひどくなってきちゃったわ。
それは良くないわね。休んでて。姉さんの頭痛がひどくならないよう私も実調してるわ。
We're having a bit of a secret talk here, huh? I'll restrain myself so that your headache doesn't get worse. I'll not bring anything up. I don't make any trouble as long as you give me the money.
私だって頭痛さっきから辛いし。
ありがとう。じゃあ私お言葉に甘えてもう少し休ませてもらうわね。
どうしたんやエヴァ、急にへそ曲げて。すまんな、わしらもうちょい休ませてもらうわ。すまんな、すまんな。
After putting his hands together as though praying and apologizing several times, Hideyoshi went after Eva and left the lobby. Interesting.
空気が悪いな。
Yeah, it's a bit spicy, isn't it?
どうにもギスギスしている。
無理もない。早朝に殺人事件。
Yeah, that's the only reason.
それからずっとここで銃を抱きながら缶詰ですもの。ストレスが溜まって当然ね。
上の子たちもだいぶストレスが溜まってるんじゃないかしら。
Yeah, we could finally get something from the kids, maybe.
マリアが心配だわ。こういう時は感触を起こしやすいの。
Just then they heard the sound of Val's footsteps from upstairs. The guest house was in a cheap building, so if they had been any normal footsteps, there was no way they would have heard them. It was like the sound of someone stamping their feet in frustration. Did someone tell Maria again that there are no witches? And a moment later, in addition to the apparent sound of feet running out into the upstairs corridor, they could hear Maria calling ooh 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 over and over again, sounding displeased. Yeah, probably. Rosa grabbed her head, ruffled up her hair, and voicelessly moaned in anguish. The adults conscientiously turned their backs to her, pretending not to notice. The noisy clamor came downstairs and flew into the lobby. Yay! It was Maria who was sobbing, the other children who had come down with her, and Nanjo. In other words, everyone on the second floor had come downstairs because of Maria's tantrum. Rosa couldn't hide her dizziness and at the scale of the annoyance her daughter was bringing to everyone.
ごめん、ローザおばさん。私たちもなだめたんだけど、どうしても聞いてくれなくて。
I did not imagine Maria's voice like that. That's the ooh. What's up, my little child?
どうしたのマリア？
Yeah, tell us what's your problem. How big are you? You're ginormous.
少し静かにしなさい。みんな見てるわよ。
Well, she will never have to worry about being blocked by me. She's just too small for that.
例のバラ庭園のマリアのバラ。あれが急に心配だと言い出して。
Oh, is it gone?
寝ぼけたみたいなんです。急にガバッと起き出して、バラが心配だ、バラが心配だって言い出して。マリアちゃん、落ち着いて。それは夢なんだよ。
That voice sounds a bit more like I expected it, yes.
だから大切にしないとベアトリーチェに怒られちゃうな。また折れちゃってるかもしれない。
So you don't know actually. I thought this was just gone when you looked. She is quite loud. So I had to understand her troubles.
だから少し静かにしなさいって言ってるでしょ。
There she is again. The children were taken aback by the sudden rise in the tone of Rosa's voice. Yes, she's under very much pressure right now, so she will probably explode at a moment's notice. Oh, I forgot to read the text. The children were taken aback by the sudden rise in the tone of Rosa's voice. But Maria's crying just grew louder and her tantrum just grew fiercer.
ローザさん、
子供を頭ごなしに叱ってはいけませんぞ。こういう時は温かい牛乳などを与えると良いものです。ここにあるかね。
さっき朝食代わりに出した牛乳で空っぽです。
誰か子供用の鎮静剤とか持ってるか？
Excuse me, Rudolph. He's the kind of guy who would give booze to a kid, right?
ほら、あの銀の粒みたいなやつとか。
You are the worst.
持ってるわよ。ああ、今探して飲ませるから。
No, Rosa, we do not give sedatives to kids. Without hiding her displeasure, Rosa grabbed her handbag that she had placed on the sofa and fished around for the medicine. It seemed that she had brought some child-use sedatives for Maria's tantrums. You do not give sedatives to a child. No. She found it and tipped the bottle into her palm, but it seemed to be empty. Like, is it something normal in Japan or anywhere else? Like, do you actually sedate your children if they are too noisy? It's insane. Irritated, Rosa shook the bottle several times, but that didn't change the fact that it was nothing in there. That might be a clue to something. Like, is it actually just randomly empty, or will we use the sedative for anything later, or will it be used for anything later? All the while, Maria's crying was growing more and more intense. Yes, please don't drug your child. Just take an umbrella or whatever and show her the rose and everything will be fine. So, obviously you shouldn't just do whatever the child wants whenever it throws a tantrum, right? But I think in this situation it's better to just keep her calm. Like, how do you even handle Maria anymore, right? Like, you can't just give in to her demands because then you would enable her bad behavior. But you should also not mistreat her because of it. Like, what even is a solution anymore? I honestly have no idea. Meanwhile, Ava was lying in bed, covered by the bedding. Hideyoshi returned from the washroom, folding a handkerchief soaked in water. I'm curious if she will tell him.
こら、ずいぶんひどい熱や。きっと親族会議のどっけにやられてもうたんやな。
Partially.
今はもう他の親族たちのことは全部忘れるんや。
Yeah, or Beatrice could help you, or little Eva Beatrice could help you get rid of your family, you know?
な。
Then there's nothing to worry about anymore. As Hideyoshi spoke to her kindly, he set the soaked handkerchief gently on Ava's burning forehead. Ava rested her own hand on top of his.
あなたの手、ひんやりして気持ちいい。
He is truly her anchor.
わしの手が気持ちいいようじゃ、だいぶ熱が出とるな。安心せい。すぐに薬が効いてくるわ。それにな。わしの手は魔法の手なんや。こうしてエヴァの額に手を当てとるとな、どんな熱も立ちどころに治ってしまうんや。
そうね。あなたの手で私の熱が引かなかったことは一度もないものね。
Like, I still don't trust how Hideyoshi is seemingly the nicest person to ever exist. Like, this man must have something awful up his sleeve. Like, you can't tell me that he's that great.
そうや。わしの手があれば医者いらずやで。
On the other hand, it would explain very well how George turned out as nice as he did. Because Ava most definitely isn't the best inspiration for anyone.
安心して目をつむるんや。すぐにわしの魔法でぐんぐん熱が下がるからな。
うん。知ってる。あなたの魔法を感じる。
Oops. Hideyoshi was about to say they call that the placebo effect, but he's not. Yes, that's better not say that. Especially in Germany, you could get into a lot of trouble with that. If you say it about Globuli, for example. If Ava said that she could feel magic from his hand, then that was alright for now. Though this entire situation is the placebo effect, isn't it? We once again have the whole belief makes things become reality. That's just the placebo effect.
魔法って本当にあるのかしら。
おお、あるで。信じる者にしかわからへんけどな。
That sounds pretty much like exactly what the game has been telling us
そ
so
うい
far.
う魔法は案外世の中にたくさんあるもんや。
魔法が実在するなら、やっぱり魔女も実在するのかしら。
ん？森の魔女ベアトリーチェのことかいな。信じる者にはおるやろな。
Yeah,
神
exactly.
様と同じや。信心深い人の前にしか姿は現さんのや。
私もね、昔魔法が使えたの。
ほう、ほんまかいな。じゃあお前も魔女やったんやな。
私がね、絶対に叶えたい夢があって、それを強く願って努力すると、それが必ず叶ったの。
Pretty much jinxing yourself, right?
私はその魔法でいつも成績は一番だったし、生徒会長にだってなったし、入りたい大学にも実力で入れたし。
Can you call that magic though? I mean, in a certain sense it certainly is, but if it's all because of your own abilities, then there's nothing magical about it, is there?
いつだってどんな願いだって叶えてきたわ。
Yeah, but not everything, right?
そうやな。お前の魔法はいつだって大したもんや。お前は確かに魔女や。そして誰にも負けん努力家や。
Oh, that you definitely. I mean, she's certainly a witch in both the positive and negative sense, and she does
わ
work
し
that
ゃ
hard.
よう知っとるで。
私ね、子供の頃からずっと心の中にもう一人の自分がいて、そしてその自分は魔女だったわ。森の魔女ベアトリーチェなんて信じなかった。もし六軒島に魔女がいるとしたら、それは私の心の中の魔女のことだってずっと信じてきた。その魔女の自分に私はすごい感謝してる。あなたに出会わせてくれてよかったなって
Aww,
いつも感謝してる。
that's so cute.
病気の時のお前はいつも気弱すぎや。
Would really like to see how these two met. Like, how does someone like Ava find someone like him? Like, how do these two ever get along, you know? Like, I get that they're married and he's always supporting her and, well, bringing her back into the right mindset, I guess. But how did this relationship ever start out?
今は何も言わんで、熱が下がるまでずーっとこうしてるからな。
絶対に手を離さないでね。なんだか私、自分が自分でなくなるような気がして、さっきから怖いの。私の中の魔女がベアトリーチェに触発されて、どんどん強くなるような気がして、
Yeah, pretty much.
なんだか私を飲み込んでしまいそうな気がするの。
大丈夫や。わしが一緒にいる限りなんも恐れることなんてあらへん。ほら、ちょいとヤバめな国に旅行に行った時、バスごと強盗にあったことあったやろ。
That's quite the extreme happening.
わしが撃退したんやで。
You repelled an entire boss robbery.
あなた、金時計を渡して拝み倒しただけだったじゃない。
Okay.
かっこ悪いけど、かっこよかったわ。この手、絶対に離さないでね。
Like, these two, I mean, even Canon and Jessica, or Butler and George, not Butler and George, George and Shannon, and kind of even Butler and Beatrice, Hideyoshi, Rudolph and Curie, all these relationships, they are somewhat wholesome, very, very much not like the one between Natsuhi and Kraus, which feels just awful right now. These two really have the sweetest, cutest relationship ever.
眠っても絶対に離さないでね。そして 何か不気味なものが忍び込んできても私を守ってね。
おう、任せとかんかい。
So once again, while Ava is very immature and everything, she feels very much like a little child right now, right? It's once again this kid inside her. Like whenever she's with others, she's putting on this front and being strong and all adult. But when she gets a chance to be alone and vulnerable with Hideyoshi, she shows how she truly is and her inner childishness. I really can't speak English right now. It's always her inner childishness comes out.
だから今は安心して眠るんやで。すぐに薬とわしの魔法が効いてくるからな。
You know, these lines are what make me suspect you. The medicine and my magic will start working real soon. Like, will you be the one to kill everyone else? Like, does he kill the others in order to protect Ava? You know, like, I could see him doing something like that. Ava finally calmed her heart and closed her eyes. Just then, there was a sound of the sound of a door being opened violently from the direction of the lobby. That Maria was having a tantrum and screams of ooh could be heard, along with Rosa's rebuking yells. This was probably very annoying to listen to, or maybe it was taking a toll on her headache. Ava moaned as though in pain and buried herself in the covers. It was easy to guess what was happening. Maria had probably had a tantrum for some reason, gone down to the lobby. When Rosa had scolded her for it, they had started arguing. And then the looks of the rest of the family had been too much to bear, so Rosa had taken Maria out into the corridor. Yeah. Hideyoshi had no desire to interfere with Rosa and Maria's problems. It's quite interesting that at this point we've gotten to know many of the relationships inside this family quite well, that we are just sidelining certain aspects, like this is happening on the sideline because we all kind of already know and can imagine how things will go down. Like, we don't need to see every single Rosa Maria breakdown because we know how it works. We don't need to see every Shannon and George interaction because we know how they interact with each other. Which is, I think, quite nice because it makes things less repetitive. Yeah, he had no desire to interfere. But just for now, since Ava's condition was so bad, he wanted them to take their ruckus somewhere else.
ちょいと待っとれや。静かにするようお願いしてくるわ。
早く戻ってきて。
大丈夫や。この部屋から出んて。
You can just go to the door. Hideyoshi removed the chain, opened the door, and stuck his face out into the corridor. He immediately met Rosa's
大丈夫かい
gaze.
な、ローザさん。
ごめんなさい。うるさくして起こしちゃったかしら。
Yeah, hi Maria.
マリアちゃん、ごめんな。エヴァおばさんな、具合が悪くて寝とるんや。すまんが、ちょいと静かにしてもらえるか。
Not quite the elegant way to change the situation. Maybe he should like try to smooth things over with her somehow. Maria's tone didn't change after being asked by Hideyoshi. She kept whining and repeating, "My rose, my rose." Rosa, this is not the answer. Stop hitting the child. Rosa slapped Maria's cheek, lifted her up while covering her mouth, and carried her off towards the entrance, trying to at least put some distance between her and Hideyoshi's room. They would still probably be clamorous for a while yet, but he had at least warned her. Hoping that Rosa would show her capabilities as a mother, Hideyoshi closed the door. Hideyoshi, Rosa is not capable as a mother at all. Like, she's very incapable. And you should know that.
またマリアちゃんが泣いてるの？
そうみたいやな。ローザさんも大変や。それを思えば、うちのジョージはできすぎや。
Yeah.
親が感謝したいくらいやで。
Out of those 4 children, he's definitely the most, not just mature, but well-adjusted, I would say.
そうね。
おお、すまんすまん。ほら、魔法の手やで。
He put his hand on Ava's forehead again. Maybe there really was magical power in that hand. A truly peaceful look rose to Ava's face, and bit by bit she began to drift off into the land of sleep. As he had promised, Hideyoshi kept his hand on her forehead. Good night. Let's see how your dreams will come true this time. By the entrance, with her hand still against Maria's mouth, Rosa was at a loss for what to do next. She had been unable to withstand everyone's gaze in the lobby, and had yet yelled at the children to go upstairs before dashing out of the lobby. And when she went out into the corridor, Hideyoshi had told her that she was being too noisy. Where should I go now? Where should I take this child who's having a tantrum? She felt as though she was about to cry in frustration. As Maria kept struggling in an attempt to scream, Rosa put her mouth up to Maria's ear and tried to persuade Maria in as calm a voice as she could manage.
マリアはそんなにもバラが見たいのね。
Maria nodded her head several times, moaning, ooh, ooh.
どうしてそんなにバラが見たいの？お母さんが聞いてあげるから静かに話して。
See, that's how you do it correctly.
叫んだら殴るわよ。
That's how you not do it correctly.
マリアのバラ、ベアトリーチェに蘇らせてもらったの。また折れちゃってるかも。マリアはそれが心配。確かめないと眠れない。
It seems that she was still making a fuss about that marked rose from yesterday. Rosa felt her headache throbbing again, but she was at least a little relieved that Maria had now stopped her screaming.
とにかく今はみんな大変なの。
Are these two actually gonna be the two who will die as the closest? Like because they will make up with each other again? It would be quite surprising because I didn't think Maria would die in any way, but it could be.
だからママたちに迷惑をかけないで。
She could also be rough.
バラの話は明日雨が上がったら好きにしていいから。だから今は聞き分けなさい。やだ
マリアのベアトリーチェのバラ。
Rosa reflexively covered Maria's mouth. She had spoken a little too harshly and had gotten her agitated again. Rosa realized it was partially her own fault and clicked her tongue in self-hatred. But Maria saw that was directed at her and her crying grew even fiercer.
お願いだから静かにして。どうしたらあなたは泣き止むの？
Show her the rose.
どうしたらあなたはママの言うことを聞いてくれるの？
Abruptly, Maria stopped crying unnaturally fast. Then she turned around and muttered,
マリアのバラを見たらちゃんと明日まで静かにしてるよ。
Oh god, she got into creepy mode again.
本当？
バラ庭園に行ってマリアのバラを見たらもうおとなしくする。本当だよ、ママ。
You are so creepy. Yeah, I think they might be the ones that we'll see. If it would keep Maria quiet for the time being, Rosa thought that even going out into this wind and rain would be a small price to pay. She did think it might be a bit reckless, but in the end, no murder or anything of the sort had actually occurred. All of that clamor since this morning had been a farce set up by Kinzo. Okay, they are so going to die. If you carefully thought about the chain of locked rooms, it communicated more clearly than anything that it was all an act by the victims themselves.
本当にバラを見たらもうおとなしくする？
本当だよ、ママ。
Don't creepily laugh.
痛い。
I shouldn't support child abuse, but in this case I kind of get it. Rosa didn't overlook that creepy laugh and lightly hit Maria with her fist. At least it's only lightly. And she shrugged as though giving up.
わかったわ。
Laugh again and I use my gun next time.
一目見たら納得するのよ。いいわね。
ママ。約束する。
Once again, Rosa tested the weight of her gun. It's alright. It's only a fuss. There was never a murderer on this island in the first place.
くそ、待てよローザおばさん。
Yeah.
ローザおばさんとマリアが第二の番の犠牲者なのか。
That's my worry as well, Battler.
くそくそくそ、誰か気づけよ、呼び止めろ。今の親父たちや俺たちは何をしてるんだ。
ローザ親子の痛々しい関係に気を使ってわざわざ話題を変えておるぞ。
Yeah.
そなたらも2階へ上がりテレビを見ながら話題を変えておる。
くそったれ、誰か気づけよ。一番近くにいるのは誰だよ。秀吉おじさんか。頼むよ、玄関から2人が出ていくのを気づいてくれよ。
届かん届かん。二人のささやかな時間を邪魔してくれるな。
Yeah. It seems I overestimated Maria's importance to the plot. Hideyoshi kept talking kindly, his hand on Ava's forehead. He hadn't noticed that Rosa and Maria were going outside through the front door at all. In that case, there was no way that the others in the lobby, which was even further away, would notice either. And the cousin's room upstairs was even worse.
そなたは何を慌てておるのか。第一の晩にて犯人は事故死したとの大胆な察してにてわらわを打ち破ったではないか。
So no one's around to kill anymore,
なら
right?
ばもうこの島に犯人はおらぬことになるぞ。何を心配する必要があるというのか。
うるせえよ、しらしらしいんだよ。誰か引き止めろ、2人が殺されるんだ。誰か止めろ。
But it won't be a closed room this time. Hey. I guess. There was no way that Butler's voiceless scream would reach Rosa or Maria. The two of them could be seen in the rose garden. The rain was still awful, but fortunately the wind had died down a little. No, maybe that wasn't fortunate, because if the wind had been a little further, Rosa would surely have hesitated to go outside. Maria found her rose with the gold lace and stared at it lovingly. Rosa had accepted with the promise that Maria would only have one look at it. But she didn't want Maria to complain that it hadn't been enough later on. So she decided to go along with her until she was satisfied. She believed that there wasn't a culprit, but if by any chance she was mistaken, they were now in an extremely dangerous position. Rosa realized that faintly herself. If things got bad, she would throw away her umbrella and ready her gun, keeping the innocently rejoicing Maria in the corner of her eyes. Rosa gazed warily in all directions. Huh? There we go. Were her eyes just tired? Even though no one should have been there, she thought she saw something glitter in the dark rose garden with all its wind and rain. Gold-colored? It had to be her imagination. Because to Rosa, it seemed as though gold butterflies were dancing through the rose bushes.
Eva? 無理せんで、やっぱり南條先生を呼んでこんか？
大丈夫だから。
Yeah, but Ava Trees is going to come out, isn't she?
この手を離さないで。お願いだから。離さないで。
Ava was breathing wildly. Beads of sweat were appearing on her forehead. It certainly was true that she had stayed up all night last night, and that things had been rough since early this morning. It wasn't odd that her body wasn't keeping up. Even though he understood that, Hideyoshi suspected that Ava's sudden fever was a sign of some serious illness. Several times Hideyoshi suggested to call Dr. Nanjo, but Ava resisted firmly, pleading with him and saying that it was even more important that he didn't take his hand away.
わかった。でもな、お昼になったら必ず南條先生に見てもらうんやで。
Definitely need to take some medicine.
それを約束できるならずっとここにいてお前の手を握ったるからな。こうしてギューッとな。
ありがとう。大丈夫よ。
I had the thought that he is like her magic, her witch, and that he is fulfilling her wishes, but if we can trust the existence of the scene, then he is most definitely with Ava right now and can't move away.
あなたの手の魔法で必ずこんな熱なんか下がっちゃうから。
Even as she said that, Ava's harsh breathing didn't improve in the slightest.
離さないで。
She's in very much pain. I know, very, very deep inside.
誰？
She saw an umbrella moving from beyond the rose bush. Rosa threw away her umbrella and wildly lifted her gun. When she did, the figure beyond the bush showed itself.
エヴァおばさん。
Yeah, not quite.
びっくりしたわ。姉さんなの？何かご用？さっきの話の続きなの？
ええ、そうよ。お父様の黄金の話よ。
お願いだからマリアの前では遠慮して、ちゃんと約束は守ってるわよ。
I don't think that's Ava, Rosa. I think we are in Magic World again.
姉さんの悪巧みの邪魔はしないわ。
悪巧み？何それ？
姉さんが何を考えていても勝手よ。私は邪魔する気なんてない。だからマリアの前では許して。私は分け前さえもらえれば十分なの。
分け前
Ava started laughing in a creepy voice. Rosa was startled, but Maria stared blankly. Then Maria said just one thing.
おばさん誰？
Yeah, she isn't. Ava. Ah, that's cool. You can really hear how her laugh transitioned from the adult laugh to the childish laugh.
誰がお前にやるものか。あれはすべて私のもの。この黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェのものよ。
エヴァ、大丈夫か？エヴァ。
She's being witchy right now.
エヴァ、エヴァ。
握っていて離さないで。私じゃない誰かに連れ去られないように。私の手を握っていて離さないで。
Hi.
お前が何を努力したの？
She has big rings beneath her eyes.
何も努力してない。いつも私たちの影に隠れてのらりくらり。いつも戦わずに影から影へと逃げ回っていたお前に後ろ宮家の黄金を無心する資格など本当にあると思ってるの？
Well, she solved the riddle as well.
あれは全て私のもの。後ろ宮家当主にして新しき黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェの名を継承した私だけのもの。
ベアトリーチェ。ベアトリーチェだ。ママ、ベアトリーチェ。
Frolicking around, Maria jumped at her mother in ecstasy. It's not quite Beatrice, but this shows us, even though it's probably the magic side, that Maria will just identify anyone as Beatrice as long as they are witchy enough. Rosa treated Maria cold-heartedly and raised her gun high.
姉さんよね。姉さんなのよね。
違うわ。
私はもはやあなたの姉であった存在ではないの。
じゃああんた誰なのよ。ベアトリーチェだとでも言うの。そんなはずはない。あんたは19年前に死んだのよ。
Yeah, oh yeah, because she killed Beatrice, so to speak.
ええ、確かに死んでいたわ。だって私、あなたの頭が割れているところをはっきり見たもの。その中身が溢れ出しているのを昨日のことのように思い出せる。そのあんたがどうして生きてここにいるのよ。
黄金の魔女に死の概念などないの。黄金の魔女とベアトリーチェの名は永遠に受け継がれてゆくわ。
Yeah, yeah.
お前が知っていたベアトリーチェは死を迎えたかもしれないが、今やそれは私の名である。ゆえに無限。
That's an interesting way of putting it. The Endless Witch isn't necessarily endless in an... Well, in the magic sense probably yes, but it's more of a title that's given from one to the other, thus it never ends.
ベアトリーチェに死の概念はないの。
哀れね、姉さん。
The gold has caused you to lose the distinction between fantasy and reality.
もはや私はお前の姉ではないというのに。さて、新しきベアトリーチェとして自らの復活の儀式を引き継ぐわ。
Yep.
ロノベ、私はどうすればいいの？
はい。
ご随意のまま、もはやベアトリーチェ様にはどのような思いも実現できる力がおあり。少し扱えばなれるでしょう。
不甲斐なき元妹よ。私が魔女として初めて捧げる最初の生贄に選ばれたことを、第2の晩に寄り添う二人を私がこの手で引き裂く。
Yep. The first thing the new Beatrice wished, no, the first magic she tried to use was to surpass the limitations given to humans. It's not just Beatrice's resurrection ritual, this is also directly fulfilling Ava's wishes. Ava wants Maria to be quiet because it's causing her trouble sleeping, and she wants Rosa to be gone because she knows about the gold and makes the entire situation complicated for her. In particular, gravity. She wanted to become fully aware of her transformation to a witch by being released from those shackles. As the witch and Rosa stayed as they were, the ground retreated all by itself into the distance below them. By now their feet were no longer attached to the ground. They are flying! Rosa finally realized the ground hadn't retreated into the distance below her, but that she and the witch had been sucked up into the rainy sky. To humans shackled by gravity, there's nothing more unnerving than not having their feet on solid earth. However, to Beatrice, who had learned the joy of being released from gravity as a new witch, it was enough to cause her whole body to shake with delight.
ねえローザ、昔小さい頃魔女になって空が飛べたらなって話したことあるの覚えてる？
Yes, great, right?
叶ったよ。私が本当の魔女になって叶えてあげたわ。
やめてよ。夢なら覚めて。
あなた言ったわ。夢の中で空を飛んだって。そして覚めたくなかったとも言ったわ。
Oh god, for Rosa to die from falling is so goddamn ironic. That's so mean.
起こした私を恨んだともね。安心して。今度は覚めないわよ。
Come, dance with me in the vast rainy sky. Didn't we wish together to fly like seagulls in the sky? Didn't we wish together and escape the cramped and boring island of Rokkenjima? Now, I'll make that dream a reality for you. That is why I want to share this joy with you and no one else.
ちのお屋敷ってあんなにも小さいわ。あんな小さな場所で私たちはどれほどの長い時を過ごしたのかしら。その狭さとちっぽけさに今こそ本当に呆れるわ。だからこそ感じて楽しんで喜んで。私たちが憧れた大空を自由にする力を。さあ踊ろうよローザ。雨の中を風の中を私たちは踊るように飛び回ろう。稲光が私たちを照らして祝福してくれるわ。
The witch and Rosa were like leaves fluttering around in a whirlwind, as the rain pounded upon every part of their bodies. As the lightning occasionally shone upon them, they shook with the joy of being released from the ground. However, it was only that way for the witch. Rosa was holding onto her head, voicelessly screaming over and over. Bad choice of words. A slightly displeased expression rose to the witch's face when she realized that her own joy was not being shared. Yeah, she wants to have fun with her siblings playing, now that she's a great witch. And she decided to listen to her former sister's request. The whirlwind that had been making Rosa dance around grew weaker, then stopped. In other words, Rosa was once again bound by the restrictions of gravity as a human. Following the laws that were originally correct, Rosa began to descend towards the ground upside down. No, she began to fall. The witch hadn't intended to send Rosa plummeting, but she still wasn't used to using magic. After plummeting about 100 meters into a rose bush, as a very, very natural result, that's a very nice way to put it, Rosa died instantly. But the witch hadn't intended to kill her, but she willed for Rosa not to die. When she did, gold butterflies coiled around Rosa's body, reviving that life just as the witch had wished. Rosa's body, which had laid out a radial carpet of fresh blood, rapidly returned to normal. The broken, crushed bones returned to normal. Yeah, but what was broken can't be returned forever. It will break again. The torn and smashed flesh returned to normal. How easy it is to break things in this world, and how difficult it is to fix them. Anyone can take a life, but no human can revive a lost life. By surpassing the irreversible, one proves that they have surpassed humans. This surely gave her a much, much greater realization that she was a witch than flying through the sky had.
もちろんですとも。ベアトリーチェ様はすでに無限の魔女であらせられますよ。生きることも死すことも生かすことも殺すことも全ては無限に繰り返される。その輪廻を支配する女王こそが無限の魔女であられるベアトリーチェ様なのです。
But how well is she mastered? How far can she revive them?
涼しげな美しい鉢が割れてしまって二度と元に戻らなかった。
Even the king's horses and the king's men couldn't put it together again?
床に叩きつけられた可愛いデメキンは二度と泳ぐ姿を見せてくれなかった。私がいくら泣いても使用人たちは壊れたものと死んだものは蘇らせられないと首を横に振ったっけ。あの時学んだのよね。物は壊しちゃいけない。人は殺しちゃいけないって。
But now that you can put them back together again, you can break things and you can kill people.
直せないんだもん。じゃあ直せるなら壊しすごい。
Sorry.
すごいすごいすごい。
It was quite similar to Beatrice's love. me just replay that part.
じゃあ直せるなら壊しても怒られないということでしょすごい
For a while, the witch became intoxicated with how terrible and wonderful the power she had succeeded was. Her laugh was pure, innocent, and also cruel. Cruel innocence. Even though Rosa had been revived, she let out a cry of anguish at the pain of her fall. The witch landed in front of her and held out her hand.
すまないわねローザ空を飛ぶのがこんなに楽しいとは思わなかったわごめんなさい本当にごめんなさいそして人間がこんなにもろく死ぬとも知らなかったのでも生き返らせてあげたからもう平気だから起きて私ともっと遊びましょう
What were those dreams you told me about when you were a kid? Go ahead and tell me about all of them without holding back. As I am now, I can make anything come true, no matter how absurd. I can let you drown in an ocean of jelly. I can swallow you up in a mountain of cake. I can even make you grow butterfly wings and let you fly around the garden. I'll do them one after another. Let's start with the ocean of jelly, okay? Rosa was once again thrown high into the rainy sky. However, the sky wasn't filled with raindrops, but with drops of orange juice. As she looked down, Rosa had to doubt her eyes. The rose garden had disappeared, and the ground spread out beneath her was like a pastel-colored jigsaw puzzle. It was from the dream she had talked about when she was young, an ocean of jelly. The black part was coffee jelly, the red was strawberry, the yellow was pineapple, the green was melon. What was the white part? Apple, perhaps? Did Rosa even have the time to think about something like that? Rosa fell towards that multicolored ocean. And she'd actually drowning in it, and sank deep into a grape-flavored purple sea. It really was an ocean of jelly. It had no bottom. As Rosa sank, she was shocked to see a school of transparent fish swimming through the grape jelly ocean. They were probably made of grape skin. Then she sank on and on, deeper and deeper, as deep as the Mariana Trench. Compressed tight by the water pressure of the jelly ocean, as her ribs crushed and crunched, as her spine snapped and cracked. In the end, she had become a small, frail meatball. Once again killed. Once again revived. She's ruining her dream. The instant I snapped my finger, the meatball that had been Rosa was launched up into the sky. And put back together again. After being enveloped in a golden brilliance, she returned to her original form. It was as simple and easy as returning dried seaweed to its original form, and anyone could do it. If they were a witch. The vacant look on Rosa's face had to be because of the joy from having the dream she had given up on as a child made into reality. What is Maria doing all this time? Like, is she just watching in joy? Definitely. Probably. The narration is so mean so often. Next is the mountain of cake. In an instant the sky was covered and became patterned black and white like a chessboard. That almost transparent white part was her favorite gelatine cheesecake. The elegant black part was a slightly bitter gâteau or chocolat. There were a ceiling, there were a mountain, and those several billion cakes were thrown down and towards Rosa. She's crushed. If you piled those cakes up, they would surely be taller than the Everest. So they probably weighed, I'm not too sure. It was probably heavier than all the cakes across Japan put together. It fell down like a ceiling and swallowed Rosa up. So a very, very natural result. Rosa was crushed to death. In less than a second. Her bones broke throughout her body and her insides were all smashed and forced out. Splat, 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 slop. And yet still an even greater number of cakes piled up on top. And Rosa ended up as a layer of jam wedged between the cakes. She became as thin as a single hair and was probably smashed out into the area of a tennis court. The world swallowed up by a cake was once again absorbed by a golden flash. And then, as though it had all been a dream, Rosa was revived once again. Of course, it definitely wasn't a dream. She had been revived after dying. By that point, death, which was most humans only have to experience once after they are born, had already been experienced repeatedly by Rosa. In other words, she had gone through that which humans cannot, the precious experience of dying more than once. Oh my god. It's quite interesting how I feel like the whole flying part was like simultaneously arrogance and wanting to show off what she got, but also she genuinely seemed to have fun to play with Rosa. But as soon as Rosa didn't reciprocate these feelings, or even with time, as the more she realized her own power, she immediately turned with joy and even tried to share this joy into violence and torture. She's immediately corrupted by the power. Laughing innocently, she pointed her gold staff at Rosa as she begged for mercy. When she did, Rosa glittered gold and repeatedly began to shrink. She shrank down to the size of a real butterfly. Then, golden wings sprouted from her back and she joined her fellow gold butterflies. However, while a human body could withstand this wind, it was different matter for a butterfly's body. The gold butterfly Rosa was invited to dance by each gale of wind, and she spun in circles around the rose garden. Gentle bed caught her as she tired from dancing. It was a soft knit hammock in the shadows beneath the roof of the arbor. The owner of that hammock lumbered into view, welcoming its rare guest who had wandered into the stormy night. That owner, which should have been small enough to crush in the palm of your hand, now looked as big as the top of a canopy bed to Rosa. A spider? Oh. Poor Rosa. Yeah. That just screwed up. You two were absolute psychos as children. Or rather, I guess Rosa was too small to really understand what she was doing, but Ava should have known that how screwed up that is. I said that voice acting is more than just screaming and crying and all that stuff, but she's voice acting dying in brutal ways very well.
あいつやるな。
実に自由に魔法を使いこなす。
You two really have the same laugh.
面白い面白い面白い面白い。バトラも笑えるだろう。
ふざけんな、もう止めろ。何が楽しいんだよ。おかしい、てめえおかしいぞ。こんなことをして何が楽しいってんだ。
あんなに楽しそうじゃないかよ。
No?
無理もない。魔法は楽しいもんな。思い出すよ。わらわも魔法が使えるようになった時はすっごくはしゃいだもんさ。ああ、わかるぜわかるぜ。あのはしゃぎっぷりが心の底からわかるさ。
You're screwed up.
この喜びや感動、バートラには共感できないんだろうな。ああ、残念残念。バトラだってわらわを認めればいつだって魔法を教えてやるぞ。
I think he's inept magic once, and it's just another invitation for a date. But also, I don't think he would like that.
人間の束縛を逃れた瞬間の喜びは筆舌に尽くしがたい。
It's the corruption of power.
そなたに教えてやりたいよ。あの喜び、あの感動。そなたの生み出す魔法の世界もぜひ一度見てみたいものだ。
It would be quite interesting. What would Battler's magic be?
楽しくなってきただろう。魔法が使いたくなってきただろう。
Honestly, after seeing that, I would probably want to use it
魔
less.
女もなかなかに楽しいものであるぞ。そなたには特別に教えてやる。一緒に空を飛ぶ喜びとか、一緒に海を潜る喜びとか、人間の制約を超えた瞬間に知る世界がどれほどに広かったのかという感動をそなたにも教えてやる。そしたら楽しいだろうな。
There was no malice in Berto's expression. It was hard to believe, but she was genuinely enjoying this cruel show. Yeah. As though she was sharing her appreciation with Battler. She is a bit screwed up about these things, but just a little. Battler was aghast at that vastly, hopelessly different measure of value.
信じられねえ。てめえ、絶対変だぞ。
A little, a little.
もうやめろ、チキシャー。ワルギリア、このおかしな茶番を止めさせるんだ。どうすりゃいいんだ。
私たちは番外の存在です。盤上には触れられません。
Virgilia shook her head apologetically. Yes, he was already beaten on the board, so she can't intervene. She was one who had already been killed. Did that mean she couldn't interfere in any way? Yeah. As Beato continued to enjoy it in a crazed sort of way, Battler lifted her up by the collar and yelled at her.
やめろやめろやめろ。いい加減にしろ、魔女め。あれがエヴァおばさんだってのか。ありえない。
I feel like if she had magic, she would be that way.
俺の知ってるエヴァおばさんは確かに意地悪なとこも少しはあったけど、こんな残酷なことをする人じゃ断じてありえない。
It's quite impressive what people can do as soon as they get the power to do it.
全てお前のまやかしだ。ローザおばさんをもてあそぶな。エヴァおばさんをもてあそぶな。今すぐこの茶番を止めさせろ。
だからローザと遊んでいるのはもうわらわではないというに、新しきベアトリーチェだというに、そんなにギャーギャーわめくほどに残酷か。
Yeah.
そなたもこういうの実は結構好きだろうが、実はちょっぴり魔法に興味を持ってきて。あいた。何をする。
For the first time, Butler slapped Beato across her cheek. Huh. This was true. It's the first time she actually steps up against her because she's genuinely angry at what she's doing, or what's being done. Beato didn't know why something like that would be done to her, and stunned expression rose to her face. She's like a child never been taught. Okay, so it's... Is this going in the direction of she's never actually been taught how to value life. That for her it's always just been a game, that sort of thing. Butler found her expression even more unforgivable, and he roared.
ああ、これが面白いだ。お前の頭はどうなってんだ。死ね。頭を輪切りにして、てめえで覗いてみろ。絶対に中身がごっそり抜けてるぜ。今すぐやめさせろ。この悪趣味な茶番をやめさせるんだ。俺はお前を許さない。よくもこんな残酷なことを。お前のこと少しでも笑えるやつだと思ったこともあったが、俺はもう二度と勘違いしない。
If they got along better till all this happened. I do wonder, what would Beatrice's reaction be? Like, I think she genuinely believed that he would just have fun with her playing this game because she still thinks it's just a game. So I think she might actually put a stop to this.
お前はただ残酷なだけの怪物だ。俺の前に現れるな。二度とだ。お前を認めない、お前と話さない、お前の顔など見たくもない。聞こえたか。俺の前に現れるな。お前なんか消えてしまえ。
The switch resistance once again built up. Okay, the last time it wasn't actually Virgilia, it was Butler resisting her. The instant Butler screamed, the power that resisted the witch became a red wall which repelled Beato, knocking her back onto her butt.
なんだというのだ。面白い見物ではないかよ。
She genuinely doesn't understand. She spoke as though making an excuse, but the person those words were directed at, Butler, was no longer there. His figure had suddenly disappeared into the darkness. But Beato pouted her lips and continued trying to explain herself.
そりゃ確かにちょっとあれかなとは思うが、こんなの無邪気ないたずら程度であろう。
No!
どう殺そうが結局は生き返らせておるではないか。
So it doesn't matter because she can repair it, she can fix it. Nothing matters as long as you can make it right. That's her idea of things, right?
人間は終わりさえ良ければ何でも良い生き物ではなかったのか。
Exactly.
のう、お師匠様。そこまでへそを曲げられるものでもあるまいに。
She was hoping for approval, but Virgilia simply faced her with an indifferent expression. To Beato at that moment, even an exasperated face would probably have seemed better.
私から特に言うことはありません。あなたが楽しいと思うなら、いつまでも見続けていると良いでしょう。終わったら呼びなさい。
I'm not angry, just disappointed. That's pretty much what she's giving her.
それまで私も姿を消します。
Following Butler's lead, Virgilia hid herself in the darkness. Left sitting there on her own, Beato didn't have a clue what was going on and felt like she had been made out to be the best. You are!
なんだよ。面白いショーじゃないかよ。ちょっとは悪趣味かもしれないけど、割と面白いじゃないかよ。なあ、ロノウェ。あそこまで怒るほどじゃないよな。
お嬢様の面白いが、バトラ様にも面白いとは
Yeah,
限りません。
give your daughter advice on how to apologize to her boyfriend.
わらわはそんなにも嫌われておるか。
You murdered his family. Did you really not think about it at all? She's really completely removed from normal human thinking. Like, obviously, it was obvious that she didn't think quite normally, but she's really completely removed from the idea that this could be bad in any case. Like, there really is no malice in her actions. Like, at least not active malice, I would say. She genuinely believes to just have a fun game.
そりゃ確かに対戦相手だから敵同士ではあるが、妥協笑い合いのほどわらわたちは不仲だというのか。バトラと一緒に拍手できたように一緒にゲラゲラ笑い合えると思ったのに、その程 とのことすらわらわは拒絶されるというのかよ。魔女だと認めぬのはいいさ。それを競い合うゲームなんだから。でもよ、顔も見ない、話もしないって、無視はいくらなんでもないだろう。わらわはそんなにも嫌われ者なのかよ。
Oh, it's really weird how the game manages to make me very much sympathize with someone who just murdered multiple people multiple times without regret in the cruelest way possible. And simply because she genuinely doesn't get it. Which is interesting, because with other people, like, she clearly saw that Rosa wasn't enjoying what she was doing to her, but she just enjoyed that. She was just playing with it. But with Butler, she genuinely wants to have a connection with him. And she's now seeing that this way of her being just seriously does not go well with him. I'm just curious, what makes the entire relationship with Butler different from the others? Like, sure, you could say, yeah, maybe she just had a bit fun and now has a crush on him, and that is what gives her this new perspective. But did nothing before ever really make her question her morality or the concept of her actions? Was she just that caught up in her eternity?
これまでお嬢様は十分に嫌われるだけの差し手をいたしました。悪魔の私でさえバトラ様の気持ちが少しは分かろうというもの。それが理解できぬのはお嬢様が特に鈍感が過ぎるのではないかと。
A demon lord is just telling you that you are an awful person. That must suck.
うるさい、うるさい、うるさい、うるさい。お前も消えてしまえ。
はい、かしこまりました。それでは失礼いたします。
Even Renova hid himself in the darkness and Beato was left alone. The only one in the rainy rose garden. No one would play with a lonely witch. Because no one would play with her, she was a lonely witch.
なんだよ。なんでわらわと誰も遊んでくれないんだよ。
Gee, I wonder.
そんなにわらわは変かよ。残酷かよ。
You know, this is normally the moment where you say, no, you're just a bit different, but we are still normal. But yes, you are weird, you are cruel.
誰か返事しろよ。楽しいね、ローザ。楽しいね。
Talking about cruel.
さあ、次は何をして遊ぶ？もちろんマリアも一緒に遊んであげるわ。
Oh.
みんなで仲良くお散歩しよう。煮えたぎるチョコレートの鍋を泳いでケーキ膨らむオーブンの中をピクニックしよ
う。の新しきベアトリーチェ。
Behind the witch who was continuing her spree of tragedy, Beato showed herself. Her expression was very rare for her. It was kind of restrained, somehow unreliable, miserable.
これは先代ベアトリーチェ様、ご覧くださりましたか？魔法の力は本当に素晴らしい。魔女に生まれ変わることができたことを今ほど楽しいと思ったことはありません。まるでいつまでも終わらぬお遊戯の時間のよう。さあ、先代様もご一緒に遊びましょう。その前にちょっとお待ちになってくださいね。2人はオーブンの中で焼け焦げて死んでしまったからまた蘇らさないと。まるでイーストで膨れるパンみたいに。
Baked them
オ
to
ーブン
death.
の中で膨れるクッキーみたいに。
話を聞けというのに。そのだな、第二の番の生贄にはもう十分であろう。確かに殺し方については指定がないが、それ以上もてあそぶことはあるまいに。
何をおっしゃいます先代様。さっきロノウェイから聞きましたよ。 先代様の魔法はもっともっと素敵で残酷でやりたい放題だったって。6人のお腹からお菓子が溢れ出すハロウィンパーティーなんて本当に素敵。
Looking in a mirror truly can't hurt, huh?
ならば私はアリスのお茶会を演出しようかしら。なんでもない日を祝うお茶会にみんなを招待して、私が魔法で次々おもてなしするの。先代様みたいに素敵にできるかしら。個性的に残酷にポップにキュートにできるかしら。今思うとおとぎ話とかってどれも残酷でしたよね。
Most of them.
そのおとぎ話の魔女に自らがなってみて、ようやく理解しました。
わらわもその以前までのは少しやりすぎたかなと少しは思っておるのだ。まあ黄金の魔女たるもの、少しは気品があっても良いかと思うて。
You want to talk about elegance?
先代様が何をおっしゃってるのかわかりません。
Beatrix, could it be that you are kind of losing control of the things you've created just now? Die Geister, die ich rief, werd ich nur nicht los. Goethe.
でも一つだけわかります。今の私がどれほどを尽くしても先代様の残酷さには到底及びません。もっともっと頑張らなくちゃ。
You're roasting your master so hard you don't even understand.
もっと残酷になって立派な黄金の魔女にならなくちゃ。
だからそれはもう十分だというに。とにかくわらわの先代としての命令だ。
Why should she follow any
第
of
二
your
の番
rules?
はもう十分だ。わらわが少し手本を見せる。下がって見ておれ。
はい、先代様。どんな無残で残酷でおぞましい殺し方を見せてくれるのか楽しみです。
I think you will be disappointed. The new witch pinched the sides of her skirt and gave her a graceful bow. Stepping back as an expectant gaze rose to her face, she was expecting an even more cruel magic to surpass even herself.
まあそうだな。そういう殺し方しかできないうちは半人前なのだ。わらわが上品な黄金の魔女らしい殺し方を見せようと。
Umberto waved her pipe. 7 colors of smoke poured out, reviving Rosa and Maria. Compared to how the new witch Beatrice had done it a short while ago, it was slightly gentler. It was probably gentler than how Beato had done it herself up until now. Rosa's consciousness had already grown dim from the pain of so many repeated deaths, and even so, she pleaded that her daughter be spared.
許して。
Don't worry, it will soon be over.
せめてマリアだけでも許して。
Maria!
すまぬ。我が弟子が少し羽目を外しすぎたようだ。許す。
ベアトリーチェ。
When Maria realized it was the real Beatrice, she jumped onto her.
ベアトは約束したよね。
Yeah, you met her in the garden and promised her all these wonderful
マリアを
things.
黄金島へ連れてってくれるって約束したよね。そこではママとも仲良しになれてみんなずっと笑い合えるの。そこへ連れて行ってくれるって約束してくれたよね。
そのだな。
Your game has become serious, Beatrice.
その約束はもう守れぬ。碑文の謎を解く者が現れたから、わらわはもう黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェではないのだ。だからすまぬ。そなたとの約束はもう守れぬ。
なんでどうしてベアとは約束してくれた。
すまぬ。本当にすまぬ。だからせめて約束を守れなかったラビブ。
She's never spoken that softly. I'll give you a truly quiet sleep, which will never be disrupted again. Beato embraced Maria with a loving expression. She really does like Maria, that's why she never kills her in any of the previous episodes. But now with the new Beato in charge, the rules have completely changed. Then, softly, a red bruise appeared on Maria's neck. It was a very gentle bruise. It grew redder and redder, and when it distinctly formed itself into the shape of a hand, Maria's neck tilted suddenly, peacefully, as though she had fallen asleep.
Maria.
It's a bit like what Genji did during the first Twilight.
すまぬ。そなたが第二の番の生贄であることは謝らぬ。そういう運命なのだから。しかし、その捧げ方が悪趣味であったことは謝らねばならぬ。これが最後の眠りだ。もう二度と妨げられることはない。
Beato softly, gently lifted her finger, as though touching the empty air in front of her nose. She did, a slight breeze lifted up, making Rosa's body dance lightly like a feather. Then Rosa's body floated lightly, and there was the garden fence with its spear-shaped prongs. That's only slightly better. The spear of the fence pierced Rosa's medulla oblongata. I don't know if this is the neck, the head, or whatever, but she's dead. Inevitably, without toying with her, in a single blow, Rosa's life was snuffed out. Compared to the earlier innocent yet cruel events, her end was unsurprisingly tame. Surprisingly tame. It just looked like a doll shaped like Rosa was leaning against the fence. But she had passed away.
まあ、ざっとこんなものよ。
But that's boring. That's not great. Beato acted proud, but the new witch wore a blank expression, almost as though this was an anticlimax. And she was forthright with that opinion.
なんだか地味です。ロノウェイに聞いていた先代様のそれとは随分違います。
そのだな。魔法は上品に使わねばな。
Oh,
あまりその品がないのはエレガントではないのだ。
せっかく素敵なことが無限にできる魔法なのにつまらない。
これ愚痴るでない。黄金の魔女の道は一日にしてならずだ。そなたとて第10の番を終えるまでは半人前よ。
And I think we should kill her before the Twilight. Let's be honest. Let's not revive
今
her.
は黙ってわらわの指導に従うのだ。
We can't her hanging around in future loops. She's way too dangerous for that.
よいな。返事はどうした？
I don't think she wants to follow you.
返事は？
はーい。
それでよい、それで。まあ、まだ復活の儀式の先は長いぞ。あと5人も殺さねばならないからな。あまりもてあそばずに、綺麗に、上品に、少しあっさりめでいいからな。ロノウェがそなたに教えたわらわのやり方は、その、悪い例だ。模範にしてはならぬ。よく心に刻んでおけ。
はい、先代様。
良い返事だ。ロノウェ、煉獄の七姉妹よ。
はい、お嬢様、ロノウェ、ここに。
High stakes.
傲慢のルシファー、ここに。
これまではだな。その、わらわもいろいろ派手にやってきたわけだが、その、まあ、黄金の魔女としての威厳も大事であり。
Oh, damn it. So, what I'm trying to say is, as Sonova chuckled at Berto's uncharacteristically flustered speech, he summed it up for her.
かしこまりました。以後は黄金の魔女の名にふさわしい気品に気をつけるようにいたします。
Yeah, but you are not the master anymore, Beatrice.
煉獄の七姉妹もこれまでのような悪ふざけは改め、以後は最短の手順で任務を遂行するようにということでよろしいですか？
うん、つまりはそういうことだ。みんな肝に銘じよ。
Yeah, but for the other Beatrice says
良い
different.
な。
はい、かしこまりました。
わらわが言いたいのは以上だ。もう引き上げてよいぞ。
かしこまりました。それでは失礼いたします。
失礼いたします。
わらわが言いたいのはそれだけだ。それでは引き続きしっかりな。黄金の魔女らしく貫禄を持って自重気味にな。頑張るがよいぞ。そなたを見守っておる。
Acting unsure until the very end, Beato communicated only that to her. Became a group of gold butterflies and vanished into thin air. It may be fitting to say that she disappeared in a hurry because she was having trouble maintaining the conversation. After all that remained was Maria's outstretched body, pounded by the rain, and Rosa's body, propped up by the fence and gazing up at the sky, and the figure of the witch. Her expression looked just a little bored. There was a popping sound. That was probably her clicking her tongue. Yeah. Leaving that last sentence behind, she too vanished into thin air. I'm not sure how long this will go well. I don't think this will go well at all. I think this will go very, very badly. Should we do that one as well? Yeah, sure. Now you can sleep peacefully, Eva.
ようやく落ち着いてくれたようやな。
Here she wiped his own forehead. For a time, Eva had seemed to be having a very painful nightmare, but it appeared that she had finally fallen asleep. As promised, he still gripped Eva's hand. He thought it would probably be alright to let go about now, but he faithfully continued to hold her hand. So he can't have done it, right? Every once in a while, his hand would get tired and he would switch between his right and his left. But even so, as promised, he never let go of her hand. At that time, there was a heavy knock. Eva had finally managed to fall asleep, so Hideyoshi grimaced just for an instant.
兄貴、秀吉さん、すまねえ。ローザはそこにいるか?
Nope. It was Rudolph's voice. What could it be? Hideyoshi headed for the door, hiding his footsteps so that he wouldn't awake Eva. It was definitely Rudolph's voice, but just in case, he opened the door without removing the chain.
なんや、ローザさんがどないかしたんか?
I like how he's whispering, so to speak.
ローザとマリアちゃんの姿が見えないんだ。一緒にいるかと思って。
廊下で叱っとったの聞こえたで。その後静かになったからロビーに戻ったと思っとったんだが。
あのバカ。
Rudolph clicked his tongue. Other people could be seen in the corridor. It had been some time since Rosa went out into the corridor, and she had still not returned, so they had begun to worry. Near the front door, Natsuhi pointed at the removed chain.
チェーンは開いてますし、
Yep.
やっぱりバラを見に表へ行ったのでしょう。
鍵を開けっぱなして出ていくなど、不用心が過ぎるな。困ったやつだ。
それより、今はローザさんとマリアちゃんの身が心配よ。
だな。
Yeah.
おいガキども。
Hey, congrats, you two survived. I didn't expect that.
マリアちゃんのバラってのはどこにあったんだ?
確かあれはバラ庭園の真ん中の花壇だったと思います。
あの二人がそこにいるなら、行けばすぐにわかるはずです。
Your voices are a bit different than expected. George's is way rougher, and Jessica's is way softer. Though Jessica isn't speaking a usual tone right now.
親父、すぐに連れ戻した方がいいだろうぜ。
当たり前だ。二人とも連れ戻して、お尻ペンペンしてやるぜ。俺が一っ走り行ってくる。俺が出たら、すぐに鍵をしろよ。
親父、俺も付き合うぜ。
バカ抜かせ。ガキはママとお留守番って、相場が決まってら。
Yep.
どうしたの？何かあったの？
すまんな、起こしてしまったか。ローザさんがマリアちゃんを連れて表へ出たらしい。 なんとも不用心なこっちゃ。
ローザとマリアちゃんが表へバラ庭園へ。
そうや。ああ、聞こえとったか。マリアちゃんはバラが見たいと騒いどったからな。
Did you dream of that?
ダメよ、バラ庭園に行っちゃダメ。ローザを呼び止めて。
呼び止めるもなんもうずいぶん前に出て行っとるようや。まったく不用心な話やで。
She did dream of that.
違うの、バラ庭園はダメ。あそこには魔女がいる。そして生贄を待ってる。ローザ行っちゃダメ。あ
Eva curled herself up again, holding her head. I do wonder where the journey is taking her. Will she embrace the witch at the end and actually become as awful as her? Or will she deny her and bring an end to the new witch? Eva curled herself up again, holding her head. Her complexion looked very bad.
どうしたんや。熱にうなされて何か悪い夢でも見たんか。
夢よね。バラ庭園で魔女がローザたちを。
She dreamed all that.
そうよね、夢よね。
落ち着くんや。この部屋にはわしもおる。チェーンもかかっとる。窓かて鎧戸が下ろしてあるし、銃まであるんや。この部屋はさながら要塞やで。なんも恐れることなんかあらへん。
Yoshi beat his chest, trying to calm her, but Ava's insecure expression didn't change. Under the covers, Ava kept praying that the grotesque nightmare she had just had was only a dream. How much of Ava is actually Ava? Of Ava trees. Yeah, there they are.
ルドルフがバラ庭園中央にてその後ゲストハウスに戻って応援を呼び両名をゲストハウスに運び込みました。
I kinda miss seeing the direct reactions to the deaths. It kinda feels more distant, this loop, you know? I kinda enjoyed seeing the raw reactions to everything in the first and second episode.
南條の剣士を信頼できるならばローザの死因は円髄部への柵の先端部分による一つマリアについては素手による考察と考えられます、ただし悪魔の証明により誤信率は否定できません。
Sure.
わらわが赤にて語る。
Oh, hi Beatrice. But no stakes, right?
ローザとマリアは死亡した。
Yeah.
死因は男女の見立て通りだ。雲にも食われておらんし、ケーキの山に潰されたわけでもない。安心せよ。
Oh.
あれだけ死をもてあそび、死体が綺麗だからいいだろうって論法かよ。俺は絶対に許さねえぞ。ローザおばさんに対する無残な仕打ちの数々、絶対に忘れねえし許さねえからな。
だからあれはわらわではないというに。
But it was your fault.
あやつの仕打ちに比べたらはるかに安らかな死を与えたはず。
うるさい、黙れ。お前とは口を聞かない。18人しか島にいないと言い切られ、すでに8人が死んでいる以上、容疑者は10人に絞られる。
Yes.
その中の誰かが殺したってんだろう。
Yeah.
あるいは事故死かもな。
Technically.
マリアが発作的に泣きわめき、それを泣き止まそうとしたローザおばさんは力の加減を誤ってつい殺してしまったとか。
Yep.
それで動転して滑って転んで柵に倒れて運悪く死んでしまった。
Possible.
どうだよ。
Also, I realized we have now a very much possible murder right now.
これで魔女も魔法も出番なしだ。
Yeah.
ああ、そういうわけではないぞ。実はだな、ローザとマリアは。
She's absolutely not on her game.
うるさい。お前とは口を聞かないと言っている。目障りだから消えろ。化け物も。
Butler said that without rage, but with a horribly cold voice. Berto had also felt something out of place since the beginning. It's a break-up arc, so to speak. I understand it, like, why would you want to entertain the person who's doing such terrible things to you? In a fight, both of them could go at each other without restraint. However, he wouldn't even step into the ring. She could feel that coldness. Beato wasn't pleased about that. She thought about flaring up, but she held back. Maybe even though she was innocent and childish, she had enough sense to realize she shouldn't fight.
そうかよ。なら姿を消すと。尾上。続きを引き継げ。
かしこまりました。よろしいですか、バトラ様。
問題のない申し出です。バトラ君がベアトの顔を見たくないというなら、それもありかと。
Yeah.
好きにしろよ。その化け物の顔を見なくて済むなら、なんだって構わないぜ。
なあ、ちょっと待てよ。さっきから化け物と。わらわはひどい言われようではないか。
You murdered people in cold blood and in the most cruel ways possible.
なぜにわらわはそこまでバトラに毛嫌いされねばならぬというのか。
There's nothing instinctive about it, Beato.
あれらはすべてわらわではなく、わらわの弟子の仕業であろうが。
You did the same things before.
別に俺は、さっきのことだけで腹を立ててるわけじゃねえぜ。一番最初からだ。
なあ、バトラ、誤解するなよ。わらわとそなたはゲームを通して対峙し合うプレイヤー同士なだけではないか。互いに相手を苦しめるために指し手を探るが。
勘違いするな。俺はお前が魔女を認める認めないのおかしなゲームのライバルだから嫌ってるんじゃない。お前の無意味に残酷なところがどうしても許せないだけなんだ。
Yeah.
そりゃ連続殺人を通してのゲームだからな。多少は残酷になるのはやむを得まいだろう。
You just saw how you could avoid it.
さっきのことだけじゃない。前回だって前々回だってみんなの腹を裂いてお菓子を詰め込んだり顔面を耕したり、それに何の意味があったってんだ。
それは、
密室殺人だのトリックだのアリバイだの、そこまでは100歩譲ってやる。
Yeah, exactly.
お前は魔法殺人だと主張したいんだから、
Correct.
そういう手の込んだ事件を起こさざるを得ないことを100歩譲って理解してやってもいい。
But there are certain accessoires that are just unnecessary.
しかしあれらのグロテスクな殺人に一体どれほどの意味があるというのか。
それは別に。
Just fun for her, right? Just making something normal more interesting.
そうさ、何の意味もない。お前はただ悪ふざけで死者を切り刻んで面白がっているだけだ。それは魔女だからとか魔法じゃなきゃできないからとかそういうのじゃない。
And because she has no respect for any of the victims, because to her, she can just bring them back. There's no meaning behind killing them. There's nothing bad about it. Just like you would style someone up in good fun, right? Like when people braid your hair or put makeup on or have another ways make fun of you. Sure, it can be fun, it can be cruel, but it's nothing more than that. But in this case, it's dead bodies.
ただお前が面白半分に残酷の限りを尽くしているだけなんだ。それはお前が魔女だからとかそういうことじゃない。ただただ人として許せないものがあるからだ。
なんだよその人としてってやつは。
例えば今回のゲームの第1の番の6人、まあじいさまの黒焦げはともかく他の5人の死体は不要に死者を恥ずかしめない。狂気が槍だか銃だかははっきりしないが、とにかく殺しの中じゃまだ許容できるマシなものだった。前回前々回の第1の番での非常識さ残酷さに比べればはるかにマシだった。
Yeah.
そして今回の6つの密室をつなげた連鎖密室、まあまあ面白かったぜ。あれをお前とやりとりしてるときは今だから白状するが少しだけ楽しいと思った。
Yeah.
自分の存在を認めさせようと必死になるお前とそれを否定しようと必死になる俺、どっちも必死で全力だ。おかしな話だが俺はお前との間に ささやかなスポーツマンシップさえ感じたものさ。
And you could really feel that, like they were really getting along and had a very good dynamic going on.
俺とお前は相入れない存在だが、全く理解できない存在でもないかもしれないとわずかに思えた。だがその気持ちはついさっき微塵も残らずに吹き飛んだ。
だからそなたは誤解しておる。あれはわらわではなく。
But you were rejoicing it, you were embracing it.
違う。俺はそういう話をしてるんじゃない。お前はローザおばさんがひどい殺し方を何度も何度も繰り返されるのを見て、面白い見せ物だと嘲笑った。それを見て俺は深く失望した。
So this in a way also feels a bit like direct commentary towards the players in a way. Like we are playing this game or reading this novel, and others, like especially stuff like, for example, Danganronpa and or Ace Attorney or whatever else, and we rejoice in seeing this insanity and the most cruel and weirdest way someone can die or be killed, and we're having fun with it because for us it's just a game, right? It's not like actually people are dying, so let's go all out, let's have all the fun we could never have in actuality because we just wouldn't want people to be murdered that way. But since it's just a game, we can do whatever we want. And I think that's kind of what applies to Beatrice here, right? Like, it's just a game. You can do whatever you want here because you can revive the people. There's no need to hold back or be considerate of anything because nothing matters. It's just a game. And there is a certain difference though, because even though we are looking at all of this and having fun with it because it's just a game, it is just characters. It isn't actual people having actual feelings, but characters having feelings projected onto them by the author. In the case of Beatrice here, we, in her world at least, like we have to think of the game world as an actual world for them. She's torturing actual people, so it's like we are murdering actual people and then reviving them again, and I think that's the biggest distinction between it. Like, we shouldn't rejoice in the cruelty of things just because they don't matter to us. But there's a certain fun, there's a certain draw in that, right? And that's in a way what we're exploring here as well. As soon as we have the unlimited power, as soon as we can do what we want, we humans tend to become extremely cruel and enjoy the most terrible things.
お前が今回少しはマシな殺し方を選んだのは何かのちょっとした気まぐれなんであって。
Yeah, it was just because she was a little sad about how you all reacted.
本来の残酷な性分には何の変わりもないんだと分かって。それどころかお前は残酷な死を純粋に楽しんでさえいる。俺に意地悪をするためだけに残酷を尽くしてるんじゃない。お前は本当に純粋に残酷を楽しんでいる。
Yes.
楽しめる性分なんだ。お前はローザおばさんが何度もむごたらしく殺されているのを俺に楽しいだろうと言った。嫌味で言ったんじゃない。心底から楽しくて。
Yeah, she saw nothing wrong with it.
それを俺にも共感してほしくて楽しいだろうと言ったんだ。その瞬間俺は失望し、お前が魔女だとかそうでないとか、俺はお前のその残酷さが許せない。そして理解できない。許すこともできない。だが魔女を認めるか否定するかというゲームは続ける。自ら降りて敗北を認めたりはしないさ。だがそのゲームにお前の無意味な残酷さは何の必要もない。だから俺はお前を対戦相手として認めないことにする。ロノベの方が100倍増した。お前のような残酷趣味はない。
That's true. He's snarky and all that, but he's all about etiquette, so to speak. Like he's very formal about things.
あったとしても、俺の前でそれをひけらかす悪趣味はない。
Yeah.
そうさ。お前は悪趣味だ。残酷で心がなく。だから理解することができない。相手として不快だ。だから俺はお前の顔を二度と見たくない。
I do wonder how this will once again change things from here on. I think it will deeply affect Beatrice and change her. And I wonder how this will, especially then, I think this episode we will see her try to build up her image, to redeem herself, while Avatrice is going mad with power. And then I'm quite curious how we will go about episode 4. Will this just be a very fair duel between these two, or how will things play out from here? After Butler had finished his rant, Beato was shocked into silence for a long time. Maybe she couldn't understand what she was being told, or maybe this was a sign that she was doing all she could in an effort to understand. For a while, she kept switching between angry expressions, frustrated expressions, spoiled expressions, as though she didn't even know herself what attitude she should take. In the end, she made her face into a candid expression, as though she had come to her senses, and shrugged her shoulders as though she was tired.
なら好きにすればよい。わらわは以後、ロノウェを通してゲームを続けることにする。
She's not confronting anything, she's simply avoiding.
わらわが姿を見せないのであれば、文句ないであろう。
とりあえずはな。だが、お前の重ねてきた残酷な行為の数々を、だから絶対にお前を認めない。そのためにも。お前に売られた喧嘩を俺から降りない。そして絶対に負けない。それだけだ。
ベアト、これ以上言い訳を重ねても彼の心象は変わりませんよ。後で話があります。それまで下がっていなさい。
I mean, that's pretty much exactly what Virgilia also criticized about her. She's immature, she's childish, she's innocently cruel.
わかった。それでは呼ばれるまで姿を消している。
She's pretty much being sent back to her room in order to reflect. Unable to even understand what she did wrong, because she just genuinely can't see what was wrong about what she was doing. It's just how much she seems to be broken. Looking lonely, Beato turned her back to them and hid herself. Butler watched, a slightly displeased expression on his face. He thought his argument had been valid, but for some reason his mood didn't clear up.
あいつはバカだろ。
そうですね。バカで素直です。
Yeah, that definitely.
あのバカ。ローザおばさんが残酷に殺されるところを俺と見て、満面の笑みで振り返りやがった。あの残酷症を。本気で俺と笑い合えると信じてやがったんだ。俺とその感情を共有できると。本気で信じてやがった。あの無邪気な笑顔を見て、俺は最低な気持ちになったぜ。むしろこれまでのように、意地悪な面で言われた方がずっとマシだった。畜生。
お嬢様は、友達というものを持った試しのない方です。それどころか、あれほど強く物を言われたことさえなかったでしょう。私もマダムも共に付き人。何を申し上げてもお耳には届きません。お嬢様にはこれも。
ふざけるな。
Yeah.
俺はあいつの友達になった覚えはないぞ。
そうでございますね。
You kind of were.
失礼いたしました。
At least from Beatrice's perspective.
一つだけあなたに感謝を。あの子のゲームを降りないでくれてありがとう。
He spoke words of gratitude, but for some reason, Butler made a displeased face. Then, as though finding revulsion in his own bad mood, he chuckled.
魔女やら悪魔やらに礼を言われるようになっちゃ俺もおしまいだな。ゲームを再開しようぜ。もちろん手心を加えるつもりはないからな。
望むところです。お嬢様と違い、私は熱くはなりませんよ。
Yeah.
俺の手はすでに刺したぜ。ローザおばさんが犯人で、事故死と仮定すれば魔女は否定できる。ローザおばさんを疑いたくはないが、ベアトをぶっ潰すために今はあえてそうだと仮定する。
赤で否定を行います。ローザとマリアの2人は他殺です。
Okay, but I think it's best to do that in the next one, because this episode had a bit more. I just want to keep it in a more focused way on the emotion of the cruelty and Butler and Berto's fallout, and not dilute that with the investigation we are going to have to investigate how Rosa and Maria were killed by someone. So I'll save up for now. I hope it works. Yes, it works. Nice. And oh, come on, let's have some fun seeing if we have new character cards. Yes, we do. We have Eva Beatrice. Serves the middle of the witch's epitaph and was hailed as the new endless witch. Has a natural talent for magic and is expected to grow into an extraordinary witch. Extraordinary great witch. In many cases, genius witches are swallowed by their own power while they are still young. That is the trial permitted only to geniuses, and those who overcome it will surely leave their name in the history of the endless witch. Will she be able to overcome the trial that defeated her predecessor? The trial? The trial permitted, like, Beatrice was defeated by a trial? What are we talking about here? Huh. Interesting. Oh, look, they all have different accounts now. That's nice. It's a lot nicer than before. Okay. Then, besides that, let me go back to the title and open something else. Yeah, let's close that one. And let's once again, let's do it a bit calmly. As I said, okay, before we get into that, this was probably the most emotional Umineko episode for me until now. Like, before, it was episode 2 was pure craziness. Things were so weird and over the top and insane that it was hard to feel anything about them. And episode 1 was more an interesting, intriguing mystery because you didn't know the characters at all, or even have Beatrice around. But the third episode now gives us a lot more character. We get all of the children's perspective and their emotions, and we get a lot of Butler and Beatrice this time. They are less focused on the job, and they're more involved in their personal relationships and feelings, which makes the whole thing quite interesting. So, and this time very much influences. I'm just gonna remove the synths because they seemingly aren't part of it this time. So let's have fun with these two. Like, as we saw the victims this time, where Maria, it seems you are not safe, so you will from now on be in consideration. Only Butler will be safe. Butler. So even he technically isn't, right? He could still be killed. But we'll think about it another time. Like, the servants they felt more like following an idea. Like Beatrice said, well, we suspected the servants, so let's eliminate the servants and see what we can do with the rest, you know? It's a change up in the pattern so far. But what we saw from the second Twilight now was that it wasn't, well, at least from the witch side, wasn't chosen by being methodical, but rather through pure emotion of witch Ava. And so I will assume that this will continue on, like, these four are dead. And I will assume that they are going to follow in the typical order of, probably actually this order. I think this is probably how it's going to happen. That we will go with the idea of Eva trying to gain control and just having issues trying to deal with everything in her life, and having these two be a problem for her, and making the stuff hard with gold and everything, and trying to gain control. And thus her dream self will try to solve these issues for her the best way they can, just murder them. So yeah, they will definitely one by one, or two by two, die away. Now the question is who survives at the end, because we still need one more sacrifice. And we've gotten very little focus on these three characters this episode. So it's hard to tell what we are actually planning to do with them. Like, there's next to nothing with George and Jessica, so having them survive till the end feels kind of weird. Like, Hideyoshi feels like a quite good fit because he has so much synergy with Eva. But especially because of the focus on the relationship, I feel like killing him as the final step of Eva finally completely losing her control, would be a fitting end. And we can still give them a bit more to do in the meantime, so that these feel right as survivors. And Nanjo is just outside of things, so I don't know where to put him yet. He feels still very weird everywhere where I put him. Yeah, I think that Hideyoshi's death will be the final breaking point of Eva, where she just throws away everything and completely embraces the witch. That's what I think. And which will then, I think, lead to, with everything how the episode is built, to these two teaming up once again and getting together and destroying Witch Ava in order to be able to continue the game without things getting completely out of hand. How these three are involved, no idea. But I think it will come down to the battle between Berto and Butler against Ava Trees and Ava. I guess George will probably somehow be involved, but I don't know. But that shall be it for today. I hope you have had fun. It certainly was one of the most intense and interesting episodes for me until now. And see you next time. Bye bye.